you please tell us your name and what your connection is to St Margaret's?
So my name is Bene and I started off as an English teacher in St Margaret's over a decade ago now. Yep.
Lovely.
My name is Nicola Kerr. I did my first stint here in 1999 to 2005 as a pupil, and I was appointed on the same day as Barry back in December 2012.
Are you still friends to this day then?
I'll let you answer that.
Best pals, yeah.
It's funny because we were appointed on the same day, and there probably should have been a natural rivalry, but we genuinely just stuck together. And I was always worried. Barry's now left St Margaret's and has been promoted multiple times, and I always worried our friendship would fade away, but being at St Margaret's has given us the biggest gift in this friendship that we have with each other, so I'll be forever grateful for this school for that.
It's so cute.
I know, we're adorable.
We are. No, I think what Nicola says is exactly true. St Margaret's played like a really, really formative role in shaping me as a person. And when I came in tonight, actually, I was like, I was quite moved by being here again, because it felt like almost, and this sounds very cheesy, but almost like coming home, because it was such an important part of like my growth as a professional, my growth as a person actually. And and the closing speech, and you've said this as well, Nicola, like it was made reference that we're custodians of the school, and I think that's really important. Like St Margaret's has a really crucial part in my heart, and has played a really crucial part in my life.
Has it changed much since you've been away?
I'm only seeing it tonight, but I would say not at all, which actually was really nice for me. Maybe there's things that the staff here would say they want to improve because curriculums change and young people change, but the building itself, no, and actually the warmth of the building, not at all, and the warmth of the people, which was lovely.
It's funny because I've obviously got the two perspectives. I remember when I was here as a pupil, and obviously there's lots of physical differences from when I was here as a pupil. Obviously these dinner halls did not exist, and they were up on the first floor, and you had your house. So I was Trinity, but I always sat with my pals in New Battle, and I really shouldn't have been there, and I was always getting in trouble. But when I came back from my walk round, and it was Jerry Brady, the Janny, who genuinely hadn't been there in years, and he's like, "What you doing here?" As if I'd never left. And I genuinely think that's the thing about St Margaret's. You could not have been here for such a long time, and you are always welcomed with open arms, and I think that's evident tonight. All the former staff hugging, embracing each other. It's such a beautiful legacy that for 50 years we've been able to build these connections with each other. So I don't think a lot's changed as a pupil and as a member of staff who still works here.
So what are like some of your favourite memories of being in the school together or on your own?
Well, as a young person, it would be no shock, I loved English, and my biggest memories, and I hope you get a chance to speak to Mrs McLean, Margaret McLean's English class, was the best thing I ever experienced when I was here at school, and just learning about poetry and books and things like that. And she hates me saying this, but she's the reason I became an English teacher. And as a teacher, I would say, it's so straight, but some of my favourite memories would be like the late nights working together, and we'd be sitting collaborating on units and stuff, and just giggling and laughing, and just sharing lots of time together, and organising our school trips to London, and organising proms together. And probably for us to grown up together. I was 23, I'm now 37, I've became a wife, a mum, I've watched my best pal become a wife and a mum, we've both got 2 daughters, so being able to do that and teach Waynes and have an absolute giggle while we're doing it, that for me was always been the highlight. I couldn't have been more grateful.
My favourite memory is when Nicola and I went viral on Twitter dressed as Jack and Victor for one of the Halloween discos, and we were so chuffed with ourselves I can't even describe. We also won Best Staff Costume, quite rightly so.
You're forgetting they actually invented Best Duo Costume because it was so good. We only ever did Best Female and Male, but I had a racing post and nude Turnix tea cakes. It was... Mr Grimshaw just looked at us up and down and went, "Only used to." would have done that. So
That was my favourite memory, but I think it certainly is for me, like the warmth of the young people. So it was funny when I left St Margaret's, the head teacher at the time, Mr Snee, said to me, "There's no such thing as a Lanarkshire Wayne," and in my naivety I thought, that isn't true, Waynes are Waynes wherever you go, but actually he was 100% right. There is no such thing as the warmth of a young person in St Margaret's, and that was like really formative for me. And I was speaking to former pupils tonight that are counsellors or that are away to be doctors and things like that, and those kids actually probably shaped me a bit more than I shaped them, which I think is really like speaks to the power of what school and education and faith schools can do when those things work really, really well, when you build the relationships that Nicola and I were fortunate enough to build with each other and with the staff in here and with the young people, and that's been really important to who I am as a person and the values that I carry.
Go St Margaret's.
So would you ever start a podcast? I think you should.
I don't know if we should, because we spend far too much time communicating with each other as it goes. Even after Mass tonight, I checked my phone. I was like, I've got no text messages, and it's because Fabi's sitting next to me. Maybe after retirement, watch this space.
Because actually all the staff that have retired look far better than we do. They're all glowing, and it was lovely to see them. So we might think about it. We often talk about it. We often talk about lots of things that never ever come to fruition. So
we'll stick to the teaching. We'll stick to that.
I enjoy it.
Well, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
You did a fab job, Karen.
Thanks.
And we're joined by our next guest, and a very, very special guest tonight for our 50th anniversary Mass. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself?
My name is Neil Gray. I am the local member of the Scottish Parliament, and I'm also in the Scottish Government. I'm the Cabinet Secretary for Health and Social Care. It's been a great privilege of mine to be able to come into the school quite frequently, particularly to see the incredible work that you do with the Scotland-Malawi partnership, the work that you do supporting our colleagues in Malawi. So it's always been a pleasure for me coming into school, as it has been tonight.
What's it like being a politician?
So nights like this is incredible, getting into schools and getting to meet incredible people that are doing incredible things in education, and to be able to hear the real investment that there is in the local community and in this school. And I love politics because it's about people. It's about trying to make sure that you're doing their best for people and making sure that people are getting the best chance that they can to be the best that they can be. So that's why I'm in politics.
What was your favourite subject when you were in school?
PE was probably practically my best subject, so I enjoyed doing PE, but I loved history, I love English. I did drama at school, which probably lent itself well to politics, and geography. So a lot of the social sciences I really enjoyed. At primary school, I loved maths. But then I'm going to show my age now. When I did standard grades maths, that's when I started to fall out of love with maths. But I was definitely more of a social sciences B rather than a maths or science. Yeah.
Would you say maths was your worst subject at high school then?
No, I studied okay. I got through my standard grades all right. That was fine. But then when I chose my hires, it was all the social sciences that I chose. Well, that's a lie actually. I did biology. So I didn't do biology at standard grade, but then I picked it up at sixth year and enjoyed biology and did psychology as an evening class as well. Really enjoyed that. So it just shows, the subjects that you've got on offer here in St Margaret's as well, the opportunity that you've got. I've just been shown the bistro that they've got an opportunity to earn SQA points on as well. A fantastic array of opportunities that you've got to learn and to grow.
And I know Airdrie is a community that you know quite well and you're involved with. And can you share some of your experiences of St Margaret's and things you've encountered when you've been here or been involved with the school at all?
I think the greatest thing that, really, if I'm asked about St Margaret's or if I'm talking about St Margaret's, would be that Malawi partnership work. I think it is just utterly incredible. And actually, my first job in government was international development. And so I'd go to the Scotland-Malawi partnership and speak to our friends in Malawi, the Malawi Scotland Partners, and all of these organisations. And so many of them, as soon as I said where my constituency was, would raise St Margaret's High School before I even had the opportunity to sometimes, or if I raised the fact that St Margaret's do incredible work, there would be nods of the head. And there is an international recognition, not just a Scotland-wide recognition, an international recognition of that work. And that's something that people involved with St Margaret's at all levels should be incredibly proud of.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. I appreciate it for your time.
No, thank you. And what an opportunity again, doing a podcast, giving people the opportunity to go into doing broadcasting skills. Wonderful. So thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you. Okay, and we're joined by our next guest for tonight's podcast. So if you would like to introduce yourselves and tell us what your connection is to St Margaret's High School.
Well, my name is Irene. I was Jesmond when I was at the school as a pupil. When I started in 1972, became Gibson along the way. However, life changes and I'm now a Chisholm. So I'm now Irene Chisholm, living up in the Highlands of Scotland. And taught this one sitting beside me, I hate to say.
I'm Joanne Watson. I was Joanne Cushley. I was a pupil from 1981 to 1986, and Mrs Gibson taught me. And then I was a science technician from, I think, 89 for the next 20 years. And then also returned later to another 10-year stint because I loved it so much.
I forgot to add in that I was a teacher here from 1981 till COVID struck. I was a COVID retiree, taught chemistry, science, chemistry, and then went into people support. So worked with the lovely young people of Airdrie and the surrounding areas.
So this is a fantastic one because both of you have the experience of being a pupil and to come back as a member of staff. So if we could take you back to school, what was your favourite subjects when you were actually at school? I'm kind of hinting maybe it might be science, but...
Never. No. Actually, my favourite subject was maths. I really enjoyed maths. I was good at maths, and I had a great teacher called Mr Lavery. Peter Lavery, who I've managed to catch up with tonight, and his wife Aileen. She taught us for a little while as well. And he also shared the story that as a fifth-year girl, Peter Lavery had me running up and down the class because he got wind of the fact I was sauntering up the stairs, not rushing because it was only maths. He got word of that, and he managed to be told this story by John Kelly, never forgive him, and I was made to run up and down the classroom the whole session singing, "I must hurry to maths," and he would go, "Faster, girl, faster," in the middle of the maths lesson. So I did love maths, even though that happened to me.
I really liked science, and Mrs Gibson was my teacher. So was Mrs Hyterius, who has just retired, was in the school for 44 something years. So she was my first year science teacher, and I absolutely adored her. But she was Miss Ramsey, I think just a new start then, and she's obviously just retired just recently. So science, couldn't help it, loved it. Particularly biology, actually. No, I really like biology.
So have you any, obviously, Irene, you just shared quite a funny story with us about your maths experience, but have you any other memories of a time either as a pupil or as a member of staff here that you could share with us about St Margaret's?
Well, as a pupil, the school acquired Octorall House up in Fort Augustus, and we were the fifth year at the time whenever they bought this house, so we were involved in renovating, tidying up, decorating this house, and the house became a very, very important part of St Margaret's High School community, and so many kids from this area saw sheep and cows and grass for the first time. Ironically, I became a senior teacher in my career, and I was in charge of Octorall House. The irony of that, so I became in charge of Octorall House and was involved in taking all these kids up and down, ordering the sheets to get them washed and ordering their Angel Delight. Do you remember the Angel Delight? Mr Urquhart the cook, remember? He was a big crofter and he lived local, and we used to get him to make the dinners for us coming in, so that was a hoot.
My memory is not as a pupil but as a member of staff. So now that Mrs Hyterius is in the background listening, and when I was younger, used to come and organise the staff parties for the staff's children, Mrs. Gibson, now Mrs. Chisholm's father was Santa Claus. But every single year it would be one of the Saturdays before Christmas. So all the staff, all the cleaners, all the dinner ladies would bring their children and they would get to see Santa Claus. We would have to sing songs and stuff like that, and every single year I would have a hangover because I was in my early 20s, had no children of my own, but would come. But these parties were absolutely legendary. Members of staff dressing up, all kinds of jolly japes, but the fondest memory of school are probably those.
We kind of took the gauntlet on from Nora and Kathleen. Kathleen, you did the parties, and then I remember Kathleen asking us to get more involved. I remember also one year when I was pretty hungover on the Saturday morning, going to her Joanne going, I can't do it. I can't sing In and Out Go the Dusty Bluebells. And she says, neither can I. So that was a party scuppered. The 2 years managed to get through, but we had the Teletubby parties. We had Mr. Blobby, we had the Disney characters. We just had such a laugh, didn't we? We had such a laugh. It was great fun.
No, it's amazing you've got those memories and the fun memories of being at St Margaret's, and both of you were here for quite a long time. So
Years between. I'd love to count that up actually in the science department, how many years it totalled. That would be interesting.
Is it nice being back tonight and seeing some faces? And
It's been lovely, really nice tonight. People that we've not seen, obviously that people retire and you don't see them again. So Mr. Mills was my housemaster and retired the same day that I left to have, in fact, the same day that I left, he retired and I've never seen him since. And my daughter's now 23, so it's 23 years since I've seen him.
wow.
Aye, I know. Aye, it's lovely. It was a pleasure to work in the school and it's a pleasure to return.
Well, thank you very much, ladies, for joining me for this
thank
wee
you.
podcast and sharing some memories. Thank you very much. Okay, and I'm joined now by our last guest of the evening, and for me, a very special guest, being a music teacher. We're joined by Mr. Alan Donald. Alan, would you like to tell us about your connection to St Margaret's High School?
Well, Chris, my connection with St Margaret's High School, I started here as part of North Lanarkshire's Instrumental Music Service team in August 1997.
And you were in the school, when did you retire now? How long was that ago?
December 2022.
So you're here for quite a long time,
It's
Mr.
a
Donald.
long time. It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Mr. Donald, that makes me feel really old. Not old MacDonald, because he had a farm.
Yeah, folks, these are the kind of jokes that in the music department you had to hear every single Wednesday as the class. So you were playing tonight at the Mass. Did you enjoy yourself tonight and going back here in St Margaret's?
Absolutely brilliant. First class, as the old saying goes, once a musician, always a musician, and revisiting the work we did with former students and who have now come back to the school to share their talents with us as well. So it's been absolutely brilliant, been first class.
And I know all that time you were here at St Margaret's, you helped a lot of young people come through the school and gain qualifications. And have you any memories or funny stories you can think that you can tell on the podcast that is you could share with us?
Nothing's really coming to mind at the moment, but as we always say, we always take note of anything when it comes to something like that. But as I say, the music is very strong. The workload that goes in from both staff and the pupils, it's the rapport between the pupils and the staff, and it bounces back. And it's like, I suppose you could say it's like love and marriage. You can't have one without the other.
Well, thank you very much, Alan, for giving your time for a quick interview tonight, and it's been lovely to see you back in the school.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. All right, folks, thank you very much for listening to episode 2 of our Benny's Banter podcast, live here from the 50th anniversary Mass. I want to thank my co-hosts for the evening, Amy, Sophie and Olivia, for helping answer some of the questions to our very special guest tonight. It's been a special night for the school, a special night for sharing lots of memories and people getting connections with people they haven't seen for many years. So thanks again, and we'll see you again soon for episode 3 of Benny's Banter.